Hey, I'm golf broadcaster Matt Adams. The updated and expanded second edition of my book, The Golf Round I'll Never Forget, Golf's Biggest Stars Recall Their Finest Moments, is now available. Readers can expect to march with Arnie's Army at the 1960 U.S. Open, relive Jack Nicklaus's remarkable 1986 Masters win, and be amazed by the Tiger Slam. The Golf Round I'll Never Forget, Golf's Biggest Stars Recall Their Finest Moments. Pick it up where fine books are sold, including BarnesandNoble.com and Amazon.com.
This day in sports history. It's April 3rd, and on this day in 1989, it was the culmination of a surprising run to the national championship for the Michigan Wolverines. What makes this a bit of a surprise is not what happened on this night specifically, nor is it that Michigan did not deserve to be in this spot. The Wolverines were a solid 24-7 coming into the tournament, and were a 3 seed, and they had talent with Glenn Rice, Ramil Robinson, and Loy Vaught. Now, what made this run unique was that the day before the team was heading to Atlanta for their first-round game with Xavier, word leaked out that head coach Bill Frieder would be leaving Michigan once the season ended to take the head coaching job at Arizona State. Frieder confirmed it, and Michigan Athletics Director Bo Schembechler, who was also still the football coach, fired Frieder with the quote, "A Michigan man will coach Michigan." Assistant coach Steve Fischer was inserted as the interim with the daunting task of taking over the team heading into the postseason. Interesting side note, Schembechler ended up leaving a few months later to take a position with the Detroit Tigers. Frieder said if he had known that, he would have never talked with Arizona State. And another quick side note, Frieder had actually been involved in controversy the previous year, with rumors swirling he was going to Texas. When he stayed at Michigan, his reputation was a bit stained, and that may have had an impact on Schembechler's cutting ties so quickly with Frieder prior to the '89 tournament. But now, with Fischer in charge, the Wolverines proceeded to work their way through the tournament. A 5-point win against the Musketeers, a 9-point win against South Alabama, then a 5-point win over the 5th-ranked North Carolina Tar Heels, followed by a 37-point thrashing of Virginia to get to the Final Four. In the semifinal, Michigan had to get by Big Ten rival and 3rd-ranked Illinois, a team they had lost to in both meetings that season. But you know what they say, it's tough to beat a team 3 times in a season. And that adage proved correct, with Michigan winning by 2 to advance to the championship game on this night against Seton Hall. Glenn Rice's hot shooting in the first half, especially from outside the arc, propelled the Wolverines to a 12-point lead at the half. But the Pirates had a guy named John Morton. He was the team's leading scorer that season, but only at 17 points a game. But he caught fire in the second half and brought the Haul back, tying it up with 25 seconds to play with a long-range 3. The game went to overtime, and the Pirates had a 1-point lead with under a minute in the OT. With time winding down on the shot clock, Morton missed a 12-footer and Michigan rebounded. They got the ball in the hand of Robinson, who drove the length of the court, but his path to the basket was blocked, and he dished it to the wing to Mark Hughes, who had only scored 2 points that night. But the whistle blew, and a foul was called on Seton Hall's Gerald Green with 3 seconds left on the clock, sending Robinson, a 64% free throw shooter that season and a 57% free throw shooter during the tournament, to the line for a 1-and-1. He calmly sank both to give the Wolverines a 1-point lead. Seton Hall had a shot to win at the buzzer, but the 3-point shot was long, and Michigan had won the championship. Soon after, the interim tag was removed from Fischer's title. He would take Michigan back to the Final Four twice more, those with the Fab Five, but would come up short both of those times. He coached at Michigan until he was fired in 1997. Also on this day, in 1933, it was the second longest NHL game in history, scoreless through 5 overtimes. Let me just repeat that. Scoreless through 5 overtimes, Toronto's diminutive Ken Doherty snuck a shot past Boston goalie Tiny Thompson to light the lamp and finally win it. Now, This was the decisive game in the semifinals, so the win vaulted the Leafs into the Stanley Cup Finals against the New York Rangers. This game with Boston lasted 164 minutes and 46 seconds. It is second only to the 1936 game between Detroit and Montreal that went 176 minutes, 3 seconds before a winner could be determined. And in 2007, the world said goodbye to coaching legend Eddie Robinson, who died on this day. Robinson spent 55 seasons as the head football coach at Grambling State University. He was the first coach to ever win 400 games, finishing with 408 before retiring. He now stands third on the all-time list of winningest coaches, behind John Gallardi and Joe Paterno. And here's today's non-sports fun fact. In the state of Georgia, it is illegal to eat fried chicken with utensils. It must be picked up with your fingers. That's all for today. I'll have more tomorrow on This Day in Sports History. This has been an original Thrive Suite production.
Hey there, sports history fan. This is Arnie Chapman, a.k.a. the Football History Dude, and I hope that you enjoyed this recent episode presented by the Sports History Network and were able to learn some good old-fashioned sports history knowledge nuggets. I started the Sports History Network back in 2020 with the mission to help podcasters find a community of like-minded sports history nerds, as well as helping aspiring podcasters to start their own shows. We have a little bit over 30 shows on the network right now covering all sorts of sports history, but as far as I'm concerned, we're just at the toothpick in the ocean moment, that can't even figure it out because there's so much more coming. We wanted to create the ultimate headquarters for sports yesteryear, starting with Podcast Network and our website, but we're going to continue to move into other mediums as well. And here's the cool part, because we want you to be part of our team. So if you're interested in starting your own podcast, or maybe being a guest on one of our shows, or who knows, maybe even writing an article for us over on the website. Seriously, all you gotta do is reach out to us on the contact page over at sportshistorynetwork.com. You can be as technologically savvy as a Neanderthal tapping on a stone trying to figure out this whole hieroglyphics thing back in the day. Again, it doesn't matter, because even if you don't understand the whole podcast space, we have a production team that can pretty much help you out with doing everything. All you gotta do, head over to sportshistorynetwork.com, head to the contact page, fill it out. That message goes right to me, and I'll reach out to you as soon as I can. But for now, dude, I'm through if you're through.